Today we are going to talk about do-it-yourself square drop trailer, or most people call him nowadays an overland trailer. So behind me here we have a 4x8 design built from the ground up. The only thing that was purchased was the trailer frame. Reason being was so that it could be registered on the road right away. So it just saved a lot of hassle going out, purchasing a 4x8 trailer frame and building from there. Now the first item I actually purchased for this build was independent half torsion axles. These are 2,000 pounds each. It was actually about 6 months before I dove in and actually started building the trailer. But the reason I bought the torsion axles was because they were on sale, buy one, it was half price. I ended up 6 months later purchasing the 4x8 trailer frame as a utility trailer. And then from there needed to attach the torsion axles to the trailer frame. I didn't want to keep the single solid axle on the trailer. I wanted the independent suspension, and it gave, with the aggressive tires, gave me a lot more ground clearance of the square drop trailer. Once we got the torsion axles installed, we then moved on to sealing the 3/4 inch plywood on one side and all the edges to stop any water from damaging the plywood. Once that was sealed, we attached to the trailer frame and started to lay down insulation. Once the insulation was laid down, we then started putting up the walls. The walls, floor, ceiling, or roof is all 3/4 inch plywood. Once we got the windows set in and cut, we used 1x1 pieces of wood to make the cross members from wall to wall. That provided the spacing for the insulation, and I actually did that on the floor as well. I've got 1x1 cross members holding the 3/4 inch plywood together on the floor and on the ceiling, and then in between is the insulation. This insulation is your 1.5 inch thick styrofoam, and it's mainly used on exterior walls or your roof of your house. So once I got the ceiling insulated, I then put the final 3/4 inch plywood on top. I then put wood filler all around the edges and sanded them all down, covering all the screws. The rear hatch is a little different. It's not a full just piece of plywood and then cut out. It's actually 1x3s to make the frame around the edging. Then I got the 4x4 3/4 inch plywood that I cut down to the size of the hatch that we have here, which then hinges down and closes up against the door jamb on all four edges. At this point, I kind of jumped around. I then went inside and started working on the design for the interior storage. So I did, we have an upper shelf inside the cab, a few inches high. I think it's 4 inches on the top of my head. So 4 inches at the very top. Then you have two main compartments for your clothes. So you have one on the left, one on the right. You have a centerpiece for your command center is what I'm going to call it. That's where I have my power switches and USB ports to charge the devices. And I needed to figure out what I was going to do for wheel wells. As the 4x8 design, it sits inside the wheels. So I went with a bigger tire. The full measurement comes out to 28.5 inches in height. I had to figure out the wheel well and how I was going to mount it. I didn't want the fender ripping on the wall. So the fender's welded to the rock sliders. Then the rock sliders are bolted at 4 points, 2 at the front, 2 in the rear of the fender, to the trailer frame. Then to help the fender from from vibrating or separating from the wall, I used 30-pound 3M double-sided tape on the fender itself to stick to the wall. Once I got the fenders all welded up and actually primed, I put them aside, and that's when I realized what I wanted to do for the edging of the trailer and how I was going to build the doors. So the doors are the same 3/4 inch plywood cut to the size that, so like the entry door is cut out of the wall and use the same plywood. The rear hatch is its own piece of plywood, 4x4, cut down to the size required. Then what I did is I took 1/8 steel and created a frame, welded that up to fit the plywood that I cut out, and then that is screwed into the plywood. With the entry door, I did go with the actual RV latch system that has the lock, the deadbolt. It's a real nice, sleek design. It's the same door latch that you find on any RV trailer, travel trailer, motorhome. The rear hatch is a latch system that you find on your enclosed cargo trailers or your truck body cargo boxes. So both are really nice latches. They both lock. I then moved on to the rear hatch. I have a main kitchen bench. I also have storage, a shelf at the very top. It's about 8 to 10 inches of space to allow individual containers of whether it be cutlery, snacks, any foods that can be tightly sealed in a tight sealed container, nicely on the upper shelf. And then you've got big open space underneath the counter. So before I sealed up the trailer, I had cut out the holes for the vents. I've got a vent on each side. They do have filters on the inside and has the horseshoe cap, which stops any water from running into the vent. Each side air vent actually goes into the rear hatch, and then there's a singular air vent that goes between the rear hatch and the cab. All three have filters to stop any dust and debris, bugs coming in. All the edging of the trailer was sealed with epoxy. So after it was sanded down and the screws were all hiding, I put epoxy 2 inches on each side of the edging all around the trailer. And then I applied the Raptor liner on the outside of the trailer. So I taped up all the windows, the doors, the rear hatch area, and Raptor lined all the exterior wood. The rear hatch is sealed with a waterproof sealant, and that's the whole rear hatch. We're talking the inside of the door, the shelving, the walls, the undercarriage. So all wood in the rear hatch is sealed with a waterproof sealant, so that when the rear hatch is open and it's raining, I'm not saying the rain is coming and splashing in, but the moisture in the air, you're wet, you're working, it's stopping the wood from getting destroyed over time and soaking in that water over time. Now, with Raptor lining all the plywood, I also did another rock guard on all the framing. So the horseshoe caps were white; those are rock guarded. The angle iron around the edging of the trailer was rock guarded. The trailer frame was rock guarded. The custom built fenders were rock guarded. The steel wheels were rock guarded. Everything on the exterior, other than the windows, has been covered in a type of rock guard. I picked up the tongue cargo box off of Buy and Sell, saved $100. It was actually brand new. And then once I had that installed with a white Raptor liner, I wasn't really sure of the look. I went out and got a sheet of aluminum checker plate, cut that to size, and put that in behind the cargo box up on the front wall. And then the edging is all sealed with silicone as well to stop any water going in between the aluminum and the Raptor liner and just sitting there and slowly wearing that down or rotting or whatever it might do. Once all that was put together, it was time to do the accents. The rear cargo area, we put in some backsplash, so peel and stick wood design to give it a nice look. We did peel and stick flooring. Now the reason the peel and stick flooring was, it didn't matter what size the interior was, the rear hatch was, you're able to easily cut it, lay it down, and that 3M tape just sticks very well, and it looks really good. With the rear hatch, we are using 2 struts. I believe they're 30-inch in length. I did make the mounts out of 1/8 aluminum angle, and was able to mount using that actually to mount both, one on the door and on the side of the trailer, or on the inside. So once the rear hatch is closed, you don't see any of that, and the black angled framing seals the whole hatch. The tongue also has a jack with a 4-inch wheel, solid wheel, easy to move around in the garage. Again, with this trailer being a 4x8 design, one person can easily move around the trailer with it having the wheel on the front to roll around, or you can even just lift it. But it is a lot nicer just to roll it instead of lifting the tongue and moving it around. But the weight of the trailer is very easy to move around by yourself. Also on the rear, we have 2 300-pound stabilizer jacks that flip down. So in the storage mode, they sit the length like with the trailer frame, and then when they're ready to be used, you pop it out and it will sit at a 45-degree angle, and they'll extend up to 19 inches to stabilize the rear of the trailer if you're moving around a lot in the cab, or you need to get something at the cargo rack and you're not hooked up to the truck. The trailer is not going to tip back on you. The ground clearance of the trailer with the torsion axles and the 28.5-inch tires, we're sitting at 15 inches of ground clearance at the bottom of the torsion axle, and then we're 17.5 inches from the ground to the trailer frame. So lots of ground clearance to go down any trail, and also independent suspension, and there's nothing down the middle for any rocks or whatever it might be get caught on what normally would be a solid straight axle. Well guys, I hope you like this trailer do-it-yourself square drop trailer build. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments. If I missed something or if you want more information. Very happy with the outcome of this trailer, and so is my family. I think they're very happy with what it came out, how it turned out. You tell people you're building something, sometimes especially if you haven't built something like this before, people are very skeptical of what it's going to turn out to be, and are you actually going to complete it? So it's definitely complete. We're going camping in 2 days, and can't wait to hit the trail. So thank you again for tuning into this episode. If you want to check out our adventures, you can go to Instagram at Shank Outdoors. There's a lot more to go into this trailer, so more videos will follow with what we update in the trailer, what we don't like, what we would change. You never know. But there's definitely more items such as solar and some things to do with the kitchen, organization, maybe some more stuff in the interior. It's really hard to say what we're going to do, but stay tuned for the next upcoming video. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.